Yeah, yeah. No. It's a little bit wrong, but I would put it this
Okay.
way: if you have a team that is absolutely filled with skins, it depends, of course, on the rarity of them, but still,
Yeah.
it can be like from if you have like the simplest ones, you will have like 5% growth of these parameters, and the maxed ones, I think there's some. I can be a little bit mistaken, but I think the maximum would be 10%. And so
Okay.
10% of effectiveness of these guys. So it does add something, but it's still not that strong from moment to moment. And so now we are readdressing it in a number of ways. And just give us a little bit of time
Yep.
in relation to skins, and there will be a big update on our end with the details on how they work, where you will get power-ups, how they will be becoming stronger, why do you need them, and what will be the cadence of these new skins appearing. But what I can tell you is the idea is just the idea, right? But the idea is that we will have seasonal skins with seasonal bonuses. So basically, you will have a skin that has a certain amount of things that will upgrade your player, but it has a seasonal bonus for half a year. We have half a year seasons right now. So, and for half a year, you'll be getting this special seasonal bonus that will be making you
Right.
strong. And we will go further and we'll try to combine so that you could combine these together and make additional bonuses on top of them, and even more things related to this. And all of that we want to deliver this year, but no dates and no promises yet. We are very deep right now in reworking the system with our game design and our production team. So it's like, it's right in the oven right now. Give us a little bit of time and we'll do that. And
Just
you can be
quickly,
expecting,
'cause- sorry.
regular. Yeah, I'm sorry, my friend. It's
And
just
so
a little
just
bit,
just
the
because
connection a little bit spiky with us.
there's a little bit of delay, it's fine. I completely forgot to ask, and it was something I had to get out, and just because I get it all the time, I'm sure you guys do. Going back to the team pass really quickly, what happens if somebody has the player already that is the reward at the end? For example, with the Ronaldo thing at the moment, I know there's been a lot of I don't want to use the word backlash, but there's been a lot of oh, I've been scammed, I already have
Yeah.
Ronaldo, what do I do now? If you could just clear that up for us really quickly, that'd be great. I forgot to mention that earlier. I was meant to
Yeah,
say
you will get compensated fully. That's it. So you'll get full compensation. You can get another player, top player, whatever it is.
So, for example, if he costs 200 million CP, that's what you'd get back because you already had him, right? That's what you're saying,
Yeah,
correct?
and you can see that in the team pass on the last page we have, I think it's 200,000 RP that we're giving.
I've seen that. You just confirmed that to us.
So you have to check it, and I have to check it. But as far as I remember, it is so. So basically, this means that you can do stuff there.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Because I get that question quite a lot. I'd imagine you guys do. Just nice to clear that up quickly while we're here on a conversation of it. In terms of skins,
I think that.
Sorry.
Let me add a little bit.
Yeah,
in here.
sorry.
I think that
Delay,
as we are educating the audience about the team passes, and they're not working the same they are working in some other games, we just need some time to do that right and to explain everyone. And on top of that, we are 100% aware of the fact that we need to do better tutorials for the game, because some of the features we have, they're kind of fresh and nobody tried them, and it's not vividly understood what the outcome is. Why do you need to go into the team pass? How do you play it? So we will be working on it. But just to give you a perspective of priorities that we have, we could have been working on it in 2024, but deciding on the priorities, we just decided that we will go for more modes and these things, because they are kind of more important in a way that these people, this audience, they have been playing similar modes, and it's not that complicated for them to enter them. Like, for example, I don't know, a draft mode is a draft mode, right? You draft a team, you combine players, you play versus other players, you earn rewards. That's kind of what we just decided to focus upon. But we will surely do better tutorials, and they will appear in the game.
It's good, yeah, because that was something I wanted to touch upon a little bit later, so you kind of answered that question. So I'll get to that a little bit later on. In terms of skins, I think you've kind of covered everything in terms of a basis. The only one I had potentially, whether you want to answer it or not, is completely down to you. But I get this question a lot: are the skin boxes or skin packs essentially like loot boxes? What's the difference between them? Because I get it. People say it's like gambling, and it's not. So if you could touch upon that, it's up to you. But
Yeah, I see. Well, let me put it this way: loot boxes, from the game design perspective, right? Loot boxes are just content with a probability, in a way.
Of course.
So you can get some content if you're lucky with the probability. In that regard, you can call skin boxes loot boxes, right? But the only difference is that from these loot boxes, you don't get players. As of now, at least, you don't get players.
Yeah.
You get the skins for them. But yes, in the general sense, these are very similar mechanics.
Okay, but there's something I just wanted to clear up because I get that quite a lot, and I've never really know the correct answer to it. So, but then moving on, let's go ahead. You kind of touched upon it anyway at the beginning about toxic players and AFK players. Now, if anybody doesn't know what I mean by either of those, toxic players could be defined as someone that keeps the ball around the back, kind of what you're seeing on screen now, or an AFK player is someone that just doesn't want to play. They're just trying to de-rank and go down. Like, what is your sort of strategy at the moment to try and deal with this situation? It's become a bit of a trend in UFL.
Yeah, let's discuss the ranking. So it exists just because of the bug in Showdown, and it will be eliminated or already eliminated. As far as I remember, I talked to the guys today's morning. So it will be published today or tomorrow, and so this will not be happening. I mean, this will become irrelevant because even if you drop, but your previous Showdown you were in Platinum, next Showdown you will still be meeting people who are Platinum. So basically going down would become absolutely useless. And of course we never wanted this to be. It's just a bug, so we are sorry for that, guys. It really affects both Ranked negatively and Showdown, and we want to eliminate this as soon as possible, basically today or tomorrow.
I'm assuming you would have seen some sort of video I did on that, because that was a massive red flag for me about how that all happened. Like,
I saw it.
And it's nice to know it was a bug. I didn't know it was a bug. I thought it was like an intentional thing. So I'm glad you kind of dealt with that. Now, I've got a few other things here. You kind of touched upon them as well. Again, we talk about passing. There's a lot of the air ball and headering mechanics in the game. You spoke about AI and how you're now concentrating on sorting that out. I know a lot of people are now, and myself included, are doing the zigzag dribbling, or it's called the speed boost. It's got multiple names. I don't know if that's something that you're kind of looking at the moment, or something you're trying to challenge in the future. I know you said you're trying to take a bit more time between updates for those sort of things, but if you could try me to expand on that a little bit, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. So I think that it's critically important to understand that once we do updates to these core mechanics, such as dribbling and locomotion is basically moving without a ball. So once we would deliver those on the level we want, and we'll add micro dribbling very soon, hopefully, which will basically give you will give you an opportunity to control the ball better on a small piece of the area, on a small area, right? Because right now in our product, in UFL, there's like a big gap between the two touches, even if you have Messi, which is not right, because basically he has to touch faster, and that's exactly what he does. And so we will be doing that, and it will appear very soon. And on top of that, we will also support this from the locomotion perspective, because obviously if we do that for dribbling, it will become even more OP than it sometimes is right now. And adding these systems and these updates, we want to eliminate those approaches to attacking that we have now at some of the levels, where basically it looks not like Fubo, but rather like a Microsoft Flight Simulator, when you go and make this this loop to come back and again attack and again attack. This is like exactly what it is. So we will fix that too, because this is not Fubo. We are looking closely into things that are not looking like Fubo. Sadly, it's not so easy to fix them right away, but we will do that for sure.
I know just for a fact with other football games they can't fix things that fast either. So like in terms of, I'd like to think expectation on our behalf isn't that strict on you guys. Like we want it tomorrow. Some things do take time, so I completely understand that. Just another thing about the AFK players, or players that refuse to move. they're obviously doing it to boost CP or XP or anything like that. Is there going to be some sort of system that comes in place that it recognizes that they're not moving and it just quicks them out of the game, and then the person who's playing gets the win? Is that something you're working on?
Yeah, so there are some ideas that are circulating around that. So the simplest ones are when when we will see that the account is doing things like that, we will just make it that he won't be making any money on basically losing, right? It's very simple. So you just cannot keep doing that, being AFK, pressing the button and all that. But still, of course, there are ways to cheat a little bit and to exploit the game in a number of ways. These will exist, I think, and we will be having to fight them. But like the very general idea is that we want to implement something like a karma system in the game.
Okay.
Which basically looks into your behavior, looks how friendly you are. We would like to add, after the match, the ability to say if the opponent was good and if you're playing co-op, if your ally was good, and if it was bad, then you can report him, saying we have the report button right now, but we want to work it out in a slightly different fashion, so that first of all you won't be meeting these guys further on. Secondly, the system will be looking at if they're doing that systematically and then understand how to deal with them. We don't want to be too negative, but we really understand the importance of not aspiring toxicity in the game, and that's what we'll keep doing. But the problem is that I think that the easy and the simplest decisions will be more or less fast, and they will be revolving around just not letting you getting income out of these matches that you're not playing, being AFK or whatever it is. And in a slightly longer perspective, we will definitely bring some kind of a system that will be systematically. And it is also important that it's not just a punishing system, right? It's also a rewarding system for those guys who are just who are being good to each other, trying to have some sense.
Yeah, because I feel like that's been like, for me anyway, for the last week or maybe 2 weeks pushing it max, that's been the kind of like general experience at the moment, which you guys obviously have that information yourselves, where it has been a little bit like, well, this person's not playing and I have to play the full 90 minutes. So it is good to hear that you guys are obviously focusing on that at the moment to get that done with.
Yeah, I'm really hoping it will be more or less eliminated very soon, because we will see right after this showdown, right? Because many people were doing that because they were just relegating down in order to get, easier showdown opponents. This will not be happening now. They won't be benefiting from that. So it becomes kind of useless. And I am hoping, we will see on the data, that there will be less cases like that.
Of course, everything in theory compared to actually having the data itself are different until you get some information back. So in terms of Showdown, you kind of answered the question, because I was going to suggest about beforehand how it was and how it is now and what you're changing. So just to clear this all up, you're going to stick to divisions, right? You're not going to do like an ELO-based thing, so it's based off 5 or 6 wins. It's just going to be based off the division you're in. That's correct, no?
You mean in Showdown? So yeah, you will just get into it first. Showdown. You will start. Yeah. So in Showdown, you will just start meeting the guys from your division, and then it will depend on how you will be playing further in this Showdown, right? And next Showdown, it will be looking back into where you were last time, and so it will also do the stuff related to that. So it will always try to give you the opponents of your skill level. But we will be seeing further on if that will be still not working very well. We might look into into potentially changing the basis for it, but we don't want to go this way. We hope that we will sort the issues in a simpler way, basically.
In terms of, while we're talking about Showdown, as you can see, anybody that's watching on the screen now, we've got ourselves the rewards, and obviously that was a massive hot topic the first week of Showdown was announced. Then you guys reacted on that and increased the rewards. And at this minute in time, we've got ourselves the modified rewards, as you know, in terms of boosters for RP, CP, LP. You get some exclusive boots or kits depending on the customization options, and then several skin packs depending on which rank you get. Do you have any plans or thoughts regarding the mode in terms of reward system, how you're going to change it? Are you happy where it is at the moment? Is there anything that you want to kind of refine or maybe add? What's the mindset behind that at the moment?
I think that I would mirror this one to you, because it's more important. Do you like the rewards now? So they have been a number of ways we approach the rewards. We did 3 iterations. So are they good now, or you still don't like them? What's the feedback on your end?
You've sucked that right on me, right live. So basically, this for me personally, it all comes down to how divisions work and the rewards you get on that. I've touched upon it in another video I did. I like the showdown rewards where they are. I like what you get from it. I know some people may disagree with me with that, but in terms of the issue we have at the moment is rank doesn't feel as rewarding as showdown, I feel. So it always comes back to the argument.
A different one.
Yeah, that comes down to the argument of what's worth the time,
Yeah. I totally understand that. So if we look at these two from a comparison perspective, then we will definitely be changing the rewards, but not for the showdown, but for ranking.
Yeah.
And we're currently discussing this internally on how this is going to be structured. So I just don't want to be ahead of the train. But we're currently working on that one. And that's just a fact. So we want you to enjoy climbing higher in the divisions. And so it has to be more rewarding than it is right now, because obviously you get
of course.
A small skin pack and you get a little bit of resources, but it's not enough.
RP
and we are addressing this. Yeah.
I know obviously you had your whole mindset on how rank was going to work, and then you got such a big response about showdown. Of course you had to act upon it. I completely understand that, and it's going to come down to a couple months, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit less, some rebalance and everything. So I completely understand, like, it's not going to be something it's going to change overnight. There's going to be a lot of data that's involved. Again, sorry, just going back to the past again, you mentioned about Brazilian teams. Is there any sort of chances of like a Neymar being added, or a Santos, or Brazilian leagues? I know you've got a big community in the nation itself, so I'm getting absolutely pummeled with messages about talk about Brazil. Was anything Brazil coming? So if you could just clear that up, that would be great. If you can't say nothing, you can't say nothing.
First up, we love Brazil because Brazil is just equals football to my mind. And there are lots of people that are playing from Brazil, so we are absolutely happy. We got some friends in there, so yeah, all that. And is there a chance that the guys or the clubs who you have been reminding me of might appear? They just might appear. Might. I think that's the right modal verb to use here. But I just cannot yet say it's like with a strong amount of confidence. But we are working in that direction, and once we are sure that it's going to happen, and we are ready to tell you, we will. But I have just given you one example with this approach to the potential Brazilian team pass. But you can be thinking of various ways we'll be approaching this, and not just the Brazilian team pass, but other countries, territories, and different types of how you can group them. And also there will be not just the football relevance, as I have said in the beginning, but also some other cultural relevance that can be fun for people to interact with this content and these players or these clubs.
I can tell you. You're desperate to tell us.
Just to ask you a question, Anik.
Ask me.
Yeah, it's true. But I just want to ask you personally. So, there's been a lot of stuff happening in football, right? And you have Kings League now, and you have other entities that are doing football in different formats. And some of our competitors are adding modes with different formats of football. And so what's your take on that? Do you like it? Do you feel like it's a good thing? Would you love a third-party league that is semi-professional or ex-professional players play? Do you want this to be a part of the story in a football simulator? Do you see this like a cool thing? Or does this sound like something unnecessary?
There's multiple ways to answer this question. I will say it honestly comes down to how it's delivered. In terms of, let's say we were going to use the Kings League, right? How it is, how crazy that league can be. If none of you have ever seen it before, it's like a completely crazy spin on football, right? I love that. I love an idea of bringing something extra like that into a football game. Not to talk about any other companies or anything like that. Some other companies have tried that, and it has fallen on flat feet because it becomes stale really fast. So to answer it, yes, I would love to see something like that. To give you the really quick answer, but the complicated answer, it honestly depends how you deliver it. I know a lot of people are into street football. I know that's massive upon going back to the Brazilian culture and everything like that. Street football is huge, but it then just comes back down to how enjoyable it is. And I don't have the answer for that question. You guys would know more about retention and how things like that. But for me personally, the more exciting things that are added and different things that are added, it can only be positive. I can't see it as a negative thing. There's no way it can be negative. It just depends how much focus is put into it and how stale it becomes quickly, you know. So for me, yes, I would love something like that. I think that'd be crazy to add in, but it depends on the delivery of it. If that answers your questions at all.
I gotcha. Yeah, you did 100%. So it's just I'm asking because we want to be exploring things. We want to be experimenting with stuff because, you know, basically one of the basic issues that were present on the market when we started was that nothing is changing, right? Everything is like the same.
Correct.
From
That's
year
right.
to year, it's the same. So we have to have a certain capacity for these type of experiments in order to try explore new areas and see whether they are lucrative for the audience or they just don't like it. And of course, this has to be on top of the foundation for basic football and everything, right? And
Right.
so in that regard, with this basic football, we're still doing updates and definitely will deliver the high quality football experience in 2025. It's nice now, but we're not satisfied to the extent we want to be, and it's just a process. But still, yeah, that's exactly how we see it. We want stuff happening. We want new things happening. We want new brands coming. We want new content coming. We want you to be always entertained, and we want you to basically have fun in the game and not go through a frustrative experience when playing football, because this is obviously not what you feel when you're playing on the pitch, and it has to be the same when you're playing a digital version of the game.
Like the thing with football in general, and that's not even coming down to making a game, is you essentially trying to not necessarily reinvent the wheel, but add extra things to the wheel that hasn't already been done, which, as you know, football hasn't changed for hundreds of years. So when people do bring new stuff, for example, mentioning what you mentioned with the league and stuff like that, it is an exciting thing. And the response to that in terms of watching it live is good, then I can't see how that would be a negative thing to add to a game. If no one else has done it as well, it is like a very good access point to be able to bring something like that to the game for sure. But it's just coming down to being careful, isn't it, about not reinventing the wheel of football and sticking to, but then not being the same as everybody else. So it's like a juggling act, as you're probably fully aware of.
Yeah, so that's exactly what we're doing. So if you ask me what are you doing, we're juggling. We're trying to understand
For sure.
what are the key points, what are the points that are liked, what are the things we have to eliminate from the game, and what we have to elevate to make it work. That's exactly what we're doing right now. That's just the initial live ops. We're just 2 months live, so we have to get a lot of data to look at it, to understand it right, and then do proper conclusions on it.
In terms of, I know this is not coming from my perspective, by the way. I get this comment a lot, and I want you to kind of just confirm it. I know that you guys strive off community feedback, hence why I've been so vocal, if you like, in the first place, because I know you guys are probably watching, and we've obviously confirmed it because I'm here today. But it's not just down to people like me who do content, who have the ability. I know that you guys, and if you can confirm it, are definitely looking at all the feedback given, whether it's through Discord, Twitter, Instagram, even in an email or any sort of footage they're giving you. Like, how important is the community feedback to you guys, and how often do you look at it in terms of updates, and what sort of things do you consider that you want to take aboard, basically?
Yeah, so I would say that community feedback is central for us, because we are a new title, and it's very important for us to be on the same page with the community. It does not mean to follow every message that is being posted, right? So what we are doing is that we go into all those social networks where we have presence, we gather that feedback, we have a number of tools where we, generalize it, unite it, categorize it. On top of that, we have the data from the game, which is non-personal. And on top of that, we also have the internal vision of where we are going, what are the current issues. We have a QA team and all that. So we have different ways of looking at the situation, and then we piece all these together to kind of picture the situation, and so as to understand what's the current state of things in general related to this or that feature. And when we see that there is a big demand from the audience, cross-channel, from different channels, saying you did something bad, then we just go and explore in slightly more detail, because obviously as we are in a very early premature state, I would say, because we just launched, we really need to look at the data. Our competitors have got 30 years of data.
I've mentioned that several times in videos.
And so this data is crucial for making decisions. So that's exactly where we are right now, and we will proceed further on. As I have said, we will fix the core gameplay issues, we'll add new modes, we will rework the RP, the perks, and the skin systems. We will deliver a number of PvE and PvP experiences. We will sort out the core issues related to exploits and some of the features that are not yet on the level of quality we want them to be.
Yeah.
All of that will happen through the course of 2025. We will also actually, I have forgotten to say that, we'll also launch PC, and somewhere through spring we'll have an alpha test on PC. We don't have the exact date yet. I will be very honest. We're currently looking at the tech and looking at the anti-cheat systems and all these things that need to be present on PC. Yeah, and there is also a big, there are lots of devices of different hardware and all that. So, but we're looking into it, we're working on it, and we will release PC this year for sure. So we will also do that. And we're kind of, we'll be getting more and more strength and traction coming to the football season 2025-2026. And I think that, so we'll have a number of stages getting to that, but I think that the game is going to progress very vividly through the course of the coming 6 months.
Like something I've tried to express heavily through all the abilities I have to the audience I have. In terms of like how the game is, the first month I played it to where we are now and to where we're going to be in 6 months, I've tried to stress several times that, it's still very, very early stages. What we are playing now, and this is not necessarily, it's not a negative thing or a positive thing, it's going to change in 12 months. This is the beauty of this. You are not, as we like to say, handcuffed. You've got the opportunity to change as much things as you want, the direction you'll go in, and much more. And that comes back down to feedback. And I always say about feedback for me personally, instead of just saying, oh, it's really hard to score goals, or I don't get rewarded from this, it's like try to expand a bit more on that and give a little bit more detail, because that's just going to help the game's healthiness and the game's responsiveness in getting things sorted out and how it needs to be than just one message of that. Because I get that all the time anyway, like, oh, you should say that we need to score more, but I'm trying to get to feedback like, well, what do you expand on it? Like, what? Because for example, I'm in a higher division to somebody else, or they're in a lower division to me. The way they score to way how the top players score are completely different. So our feedback's going to be miles apart, right? So I always find that's really important for people who are giving. And if anyone is watching now who has any idea of giving feedback, if you guys could just expand on it a little bit more at times, not always, but just at times, it does help out. Like, for example, going back to the feedback now, I'm getting a lot of questions about skin packs and what happens if you open up a skin pack and get a duplicate, for example, the same personal skin or anything. I understand that in terms of other football games, if you get a duplicate, obviously they have a live market, you can sell it or you can do anything like that. Is there any sort of thing coming into UFL that maybe, not necessarily those mechanics, but similar, or have you got any plans for what happens if you get a duplicate skin or skins you don't want or something like that?
Yeah, so as part of this skin system rework, you will get ways of utilizing the skins that you don't need that are stuck on your library. That's like one of the things what we're doing right now that we want to have. And so there will be a loop where you could use these. They will be effective. In other games, you have ways of working with them. And so in our case, it's also coming very, very soon. So you can be expecting a gameplay around the skins, and you will have to be doing stuff in order to get better skins further on. And I've seen your idea actually with the personal skin, where you have to score a lot of goals or something of the kind.
I'm gonna get to that in a second. Yeah, I'm gonna get to that in a second. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll
don't worry, I got you on that one. I got one in a second.
Yeah, you did. We will discuss that internally too.
Okay, that's good to know. Well, that pretty much leads me on to like some of the ideas in terms of what I said during a certain video was the example of skins, where I've got like nearly 300 skins now. I'm only using 11, so if there is some sort of system coming in place, of course that helps the flow of the game more.
It's coming.
And then I don't know in terms of what you can confirm or can't confirm, but a couple of ideas that I mentioned in that video in particular was you could sell a skin for a small amount of CP, or you could exchange it for some XP boosters or CP boosters. Is that kind of like, am I close to the idea of that, or are you guys thinking maybe that won't work for balancing, or you go in a different direction with it? What you can tell me, obviously.
Yeah, I think we want it to be. Selling is potentially possible, but we want to deliver a mechanism that will be more fun, like a diffuse mechanism, or maybe a mechanism where you can combine them into upgrading into something else, so that you could play with them, not just sell them out.
I think actually, now that you said that, in terms of crafting, I suppose the world to be. You have like two uncommons together.
Yeah, the crafting is the right word.
Potentially go into like a rare or something, right? And you build up that way. No, is that the idea?
Yeah. So basically, basically two mechanisms: diffuse, and craft. Yep. But yeah, we're going in both of these directions.
That is a pretty interesting concept, so I'm excited to see how you guys get along with that. In terms of just some other things that I wanted to ask personally, obviously you just spoke about having the challenges to unlock personal skins or something like that with one specific player. I use Ronaldo as the example because obviously he's in the team pass right now. If you got a Ronaldo, you could choose one certain player and then have X amount of challenges or events to do with him to unlock. Doesn't necessarily have to be personal skins, but something that you get for that player in particular, something unique for that player, right? Could be cosmetic stuff, or it could be skins. Like, obviously you said you're talking about that internally anyway, so that's good to hear that you guys are getting some ideas from that and listening to feedback, of course. Another thing I wanted to talk about, about testing or loaning players. I get this all the time. Let's say you saved up, you played a lot of games, you did really well in Showdown, you went and bought Mbappe, for example, and you didn't like him, didn't like how he felt in game, or you didn't like how he was in game, but now if you want to sell him, you lose 50% instantly. The idea or suggestion I had was you could play up to like 5 games. If you didn't like him, you could just sell him and get your full return back, or like a percentage back. If after 5 games, it's just how it is. Is that something you've ever considered, or are you just happy with how the model is right now and you'll think about that in the future?
I see. Well, to be honest, we haven't been looking at it from the direction you have just described, but it's just, we have to remember that previously we were more focused on, making the players very, very unavailable, and now they're much more available for you. So I think this is the thing, the problem you're highlighting, and the problem is I tried a player and I don't like it. I don't like him. I think it may be addressed, and maybe something of the kind can happen, but I cannot yet say, because there are some outcomes of such a decision which I just cannot, right now calculate all of them. But
I understand, of course, your full game mechanic is built around how you said it. And then obviously after a couple of weeks of feedback, you boosted up a load of CP, or you changed how XP worked. So like the speed of the game has definitely changed within those 2-3 weeks to where we are now. So like I get like you've got to work out more balancing thing in the long run, because what happens if people just keep buying and selling players and never use one? They can just change their team every 5 games. So I understand there's some stuff in there that has to be considered. So I get that, but just a thing. The last thing for me, and hopefully you agree with me on this, and everybody who's watching or listening or however participates in UFL in general, I feel like this might be wrong, but I feel like communication needs to be way more stronger. Even if it's just something like a pop-up message in game saying, we have this event, like the Brazilian event you did, where you had to wear a specific kit or a goal. Like, obviously, my channel does well off that because you guys don't communicate it, but it should be something in game. I feel like that it should pop up saying, "Oh, we've got this challenge. If you get a Brazilian player, score this many goals, you have a chance of getting this." Or with the LP event that you did, just something very simple, just to pop up in game at the start when you log into UFL. The first thing that comes up, just a message to explain what's happening, what's going on. Like, is that something that you guys are working on?
Totally
is it something you already had in mind?
Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on the notifications and pop-ups inside the game, so that we could inform you about the things that are happening. And it's funny, but we have just got to that, and we have implemented a small banner on the right side of the main menu where you can see the team pass now, right? So there will be like
I saw
a promo
that.
location for some things happening. And yes, so you are absolutely right. We are doing that.
In terms of just, that was all the suggestions I had. You pretty much covered everything with other things you mentioned, so I won't keep repeating myself. Obviously, being a football game, you're well know you're going to come up with some taglines or some comparisons. For example, being known as a brand new football game in the video game space, you're now coming up with the tagline of, I've seen it everywhere, a killer of EAFC or the eFootball killer. Like, how do you feel about being titled as that or even mentioned in that sort of scenario? Like, how does that make you feel around that sort of allegations, I suppose is the word?
I see. Well, it sounds fun, but obviously we're not thinking about it at all.
Of course.
Not because we don't want to compete or whatever. It's just we are focused on things we need to do. And so let me give you. I mean, I think we started with this. In a way, we're like finalizing with this, but still. So there's the short perspective, the mid-term perspective, and the long-term perspective. So the short-term perspective is just we want to elevate the product to the quality we want to get. Second, the more longer period of time is we need to add more modes, fix the skins, RP, and all that. So make it nice, and this is going to happen very soon. And further on, like the long-term perspective, where we are talking about 1, 2, 3 years from now, we of course would like to compete with the EA or whoever is in there actually. But first of all, of course, we are competing with ourselves and with our ability to deliver high quality products. Of course, there is a market and stuff, and definitely we are competing, and we see a number of places and locations where we compete. We compete for stuff. We compete for your attention, your playtime. Yep. We compete for things already. But I think the killer of something is a very it's a media
extreme
thing, right?
term.
It's a good punchline. Yeah, it sounds good, but it's just a few words combined in this sentence. It does not mean anything actually to us.
Okay, it's good. That's good to know because, like I said in that specific video about being unique, and you've got a fantastic concept, very different to any other football game. So it just you already know yourself, but just stick with that. That's something that what has attracted a lot of people to the game in the first place, and I think it is a fantastic concept around that. Like I've tried to mention a few times, it is essentially you are crafting your own players with the skill points, with the leveling up system, how it all works. Like you say, your early stages is going to take a little while to get it to not necessarily perfected, but along the right direction of where you want it to be and how people are perceiving it in general. But I know you touched upon PC release, and maybe people who have joined later might not have heard it. So if you could just talk about that one more time about PC release and how that's all going and the idea behind it, that would be fantastic, just to anybody that missed it at the start.
Yeah, and thank you so much for your kind words. So the PC, the alpha version for PC is going to come in spring this year. And after that, once we are through that, and if it's good, then there's going to be a beta. And so it's just the way it is. Hopefully, we will launch the PC before we get to season 3. And season 3 is September. But that's also not a promise at the moment. We need to see that all the systems and the features and the anti-cheat and the stability, all that is okay, and we'll be seeing that through the course of the alpha. If the alpha goes well, then we're going straight to PC.
In terms of how PC would work, is it going to be cross-play on there, or are you just going to stick it to solely PC? Is it going to be mixed in with everybody else? Have you already thought about that? Is that something you're just trying to work out at the moment?
Yeah, we have been. And it will launch as a separate experience, so you will play only the PC players. The reason to that is that we don't want to mix the console audience and the PC audience, because the cheating would become a thing, and at least at the beginning of the game's operation, we need to be very peculiar about how it works and being very attentive to how the PC is being used and what will be the ways the audience will be exploiting the game and trying to cheat upon it. So the starting point is this, but we will see further on. If as of now, we don't plan to do a cross-platform between consoles and PC and coming next, which is mobile.
I know, talking from my own personal experience playing other AAA games, there's been a massive issue across the board in terms of cheating. So it may upset PC players, but I'm kind of happy that we aren't getting crossplay just straight away out the gate, because that could potentially break the entire game, of how bad it's been. With some of these massive AAA titles, haven't even been able to figure out the issues for it either. So I'm kind of relieved that you've said that you're not going to go for crossplay straight away. So hopefully I speak for a lot of people who, obviously PC players, I'm sorry, but anyone that is console, we're kind of happy about that side of it at the moment. So you can really refine it.
Yeah, and I have to say that we have quite a lot of wish lists on Steam already. And if you haven't yet wish listed, you definitely should try. But there are lots and lots of people already there, so I'm really hoping that the PC community will also be enjoying the game by the moment it's out.
In terms of, I get this quite a lot recently, and I imagine your team does as well, the server coverage and input lag. Like how, in terms, like I don't really have much understanding of it. Like I understand how a server works, but I don't know the availability. Of course, there's costs involved and stuff like that. But in terms of like how your team's dealing with server coverage and input lag, like how is that going at the moment? 'Cause I know it's been a bit of a hot topic about that at the moment.
Yeah, all I can say is that we are constantly working on these, and we are updating lots of stuff related to that, and the coverage and the partners whom we worked with, and the territories where we launch our servers. And this is basically a never-ending process. And what we can say right now is that when we look at the data and how the matches were played through the course of the beginning of December, for example, and now, and we can 100% say they are much more stable. But the problem is that there are certain territories where we just don't have enough players, for example, or they are distributed across different divisions or all of these combined. And sometimes it really sparks situations when you feel it kind of is delayed, right? And when you're feeling this delay inside the game with us, it also sometimes sparks this feeling of something being unfair, just because the amount of time needed for the actions to happen and for the input to arrive, it's all working in a slightly wrong way. And you kind of feel sometimes that something is wrong, that something is not going right. Maybe your pass is not going through, or maybe you're just not making the skill move, or whatever it is. So that is the issue related mostly to the connection issues and some of the bugs we have inside the game. But yeah.
I'm kind of in the middle of Europe, so I play it during normal times, if you want, not super late or super early. So I haven't really noticed it myself. But I've noticed a lot of my community and the feedback that I'm reading are having issues after a certain time or a certain area. So I'm just trying to ask the question for them, essentially. Because I don't have that issue myself, so...
I got you. Yeah. So in some of the territories, it's worse. It depends on the amount of people who play in there. The more people we have on a territory, the better the connection is. So there's like direct connection with these two aspects. And we'll keep working on it. Please report to us over any channel it is good for you when you're having issues in some specific territory, like you always have bad connection or something of the kind. It will help us. We will look into that. But we are looking into like tons of data related to the matches we have, to the connections between the players, to the spikes in there in the data, so that everything is in the packets arrive on time, and that there is no packet loss. There can be no packet loss, but reducing it to the amounts that is possible. So lots and lots of things are being done in that regard, so that the game is feeling good.
Like I just talking about community feedback and everything like that. There was a comment that I do kind of agree with, so I just wanted to pass it on to you. Someone from watching the stream now, I think he's also said it quite a lot in the Discord as well, so I do kind of want to get this out. His name's Lataro Pez, and he had I've sent extended feedback already, and I think top players should have a direct content via chat to UFL guys. I'm currently #1 ranked player in the world. He's talked to other players that are top 5. He feels like maybe they have a lot to offer and want to help, but need to be more direct, or maybe like a professional way, as he says, to try and contact you. Is that something you could set up, or is that something that you're working on in the background to try and get some of these guys in? Okay, it's good to know.
Yeah, 100%. So we definitely should explore potential ways of directly communicating with the audience, and especially the people who are very good at the game, 100%.
Like, that's something that I covered upon when I said about feedback, that we need to get some of these guys who are like the top of the top, because they're going to find bugs, or they're going to find something that's exploitable way faster than someone who only plays it a couple days a week or something. So I know, again, it's coming down to balancing, getting what's right and what isn't, but I just wanted to get that out there because, again, felt like it was a valuable comment.
Yeah.
That being said, though,
Sure. I think.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think just to give a little comment to that, I think that
Yep.
we'll arrange some means of communication for a situation like that further on very soon. Very soon, we're very much interested in that.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. I'm sure the people who are watching or listening or might watch it later will be happy to hear that. In terms of UFL in whole, like where do you see it in the next 12 months? Like from this time next year, where do you see UFL being, and what sort of things do you think will be available to us, I suppose?
Yeah, so I think that by that time we will sort out the major issues related to core gameplay, all of them. I mean, there is never a perfect football game, right? It just does
Of
not
course.
exist in reality.
Yep, I agree.
But still, we will definitely fix all those major critical, typical issues that you are aware of. Maybe some new will appear, but still. We will add a number of modes, PvE and PvP experiences by that time. We will balance all of them well. There will be challenges to play all of them, so the challenges will diversify. You will have good content related to skins and skin sets and skin powers, skin power-ups. So all of these things will appear in the game by that time. Besides that, we will have launched I think by that time, somewhere around 6 to 7 battle passes, different types with different partnerships, like the ones with the national thing, or some that are more like targeted at something else, maybe massive culture, different types of things. So they will be appearing in the game. The legends should be in the game in some way, maybe not all of them, but a certain amount. We want it to be there by that time. The PC will be out. We will be thoroughly working and getting closer to the mobile release by that moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, by that time we expect the game to be, more stable, running well with a sustainable audience that's playing it regularly. And there are different experiences that you can enjoy there: PvE, PvP, competitive, and less, so that you can enjoy. And we have been asked about the career mode a lot of times. And
yes, I was going to get to
all
that.
I can say at this. Yeah, so just to make it simple. So right now we're not working on it. Right now we don't, but we really want to have it, and once we are ready to publicly say that it's coming, we will definitely do. But if things go well, we are very, very much looking into making a career, and we are looking into actually even 2 ways of making a career. So, there's going to be some diversity. But these things will not appear by the end of the period you've been asking about.
In terms of extra things, just to recap really quickly. So, what would you think is going to be the first new game mode, and when would it be released?
So the PvE short tournaments, So the PvE short tournaments will appear in March. Besides that, in March you will have a big St. Patrick's event with content and skins and stuff,
cool.
And the skins are going to be new. Besides that, right after that, at the beginning of April, we are expecting to bring the draft mode, the PvP draft mode. Right after that, somewhere around May, June, we'll bring the PvP tournaments and the PvE draft. And further, you will have a ranked PvE where you can grow your team playing versus the AI without having to play competitively versus people. Because there is a huge amount of people that just want to, work with their team, enjoy some football, but, it's hard to be competitive, and I'm sure you know there are lots and lots of people who play football games, but they are not competitively strong.
100%, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. In terms of, I think you've mentioned everything. I'm desperate to get some. You probably can't tell me, but I'm desperate to get some more information about Legends. I'm sure I'm not the only person. Now that you've confirmed that they are in the works, like, is there anything you can give us? If you can't, I understand, but I've got to ask. I've got to ask for the community. So.
Yeah, I would love to, but sadly I cannot do it right now.
Okay.
I'll try. And I can explain that. I'm absolutely open to saying that sometimes I cannot give an answer. But the reason here is simple: is there are a number of variables that can affect this, and that's why before we do say something publicly, we need to like be 100% sure that it's going to happen. And once it's there, once we are confident that it's happening, we'll definitely tell you.
There's one more thing I just wanted to mention before we wrap this up. I'm about 99% sure you did tweet it a long time ago, so I'm not holding you accountable for it. But there was something mentioned about potential co-op showdown or co-op in general. Is that coming anytime soon? Yeah. Is there any sort of thing you can expand on that?
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good question. It's good that you have raised it. So the first thing we will do, and it's going to happen also this year and hopefully very soon, is that there will be an opportunity for you to go and play your club in ranked competitive mode, and your friend could join you, and you can go play together as a team. And we will be analyzing how popular that is as a feature. And if there is going to be popular among the audience, we will look into a more, focused co-op mode, which can be a little bit more deep in how it works. But the simplest of the things we do is that you can play with your friend, with your team, in ranked versus people is like an entry point to that. The only way of playing in twos right now is basically go into the quick match. And sometimes we do that with my friends and my colleagues. We play people randomly. But as you know, there are lots of people who are playing that mode for the first time. They're just going there to explore what UFL is about. And so, of course, it's we don't want to be punishing these people for entering the game. And so that's just the way it is. We have to deliver an experience related to that. And if it's going to be popular, because I'm a big fan of co-op. Me personally, I play a lot of co-op. I love it. I play co-op in different games, and I play in other football games. I love the way I love it because football is about team play, and there's this feeling when you understand your teammate and you can do stuff. And when there is understanding in how you do that, where you pass, how he opens up, or all these things together, you kind of feel that you're playing football, and there's a certain team element that I really, really love about it. So I'm a fan of co-op. So if the big audience will say, "Okay, guys, co-op is great. We want more co-op in this game," it will appear.
Okay, that's good to know that, because I know that had a massive reaction when you first announced that. So I tried to find some more information on it.
I remember that. I remember that. So if your audience is watching, so just ask them: do they want a competitive co-op mode, which is separate, like a ranked co-op, where you play your alley or a random alley? So this is a very interesting question for us to explore, because obviously the biggest issue we see in that regard is that when you're playing with a teammate, when this is your friend, like, and you're on a call and you understand and you hear each other, and you can deliver team experience. But when you are playing with an ally whom you don't know, right, some guy we matched you with, and you have one ball in the game, and so the chances are he won't be passing, just being toxic or just being that type of a player, and it will raise a lot of issues. And so that's exactly the problem. So we understand that when you're playing with your friend and your twos, it's going to be good. If you're playing with a random friend, not a friend, a random guy, it's kind of likely you are not going to like it. So this problem, this issue, is something we really need to fix and look into in order to bring like a competitive co-op and how it's going to operate. So yeah, it's kind of that simple.
Like I know for me, it's a massive thing around, obviously, my job doing content on it. It would be fantastic to bring loads of fresh ideas to it. But that was the answer I'm kind of looking for. You guys waiting for responses first, understanding how the balance of it's going to work. Because nothing worse than playing with somebody random who's not giving you the ball, and it makes the experience terrible overall. The last thing I wanted to mention, I'm not entirely sure if you mentioned it or not, but I've been asked this quite a lot as well about esports. Is that something you're looking to get into in the future? Is it something you want to cover?
Yeah, surely. And I think the first tournaments will come this year. Some of them have already happened, but these are not the these are not the tournaments we are part of as an organization. We just say, okay, guys, you want to do a tournament in UFL, go ahead and do it. We're not against. But the tournaments will appear. They will be happening at the end of seasons. We'll be doing stuff around that with tournaments and offline and all that. So it's going to come and it's going to appear somewhere around this year. Besides that, I think in the coming days there should be a cool announcement related to a tournament in UFL, but it's not going to be global. It's a local one. It's going to happen in one country, but it's going to be interesting. Further on, we are working on a special esports module. It's not in active development right now, but we're doing a number of things in that regard, so that it is becoming more simple and comfortable to create tournaments, to play with other guys in tournaments, or maybe playing not from home, but also playing in a pub where you can get it. There are lots of places where you can get Xboxes and PlayStations and to enjoy this in the tournament. So these things, and we will be developing an infrastructure for tournaments. And so definitely tournaments going to come. We will try to be very open with them. We don't want to limit the audience and having these tournaments. You want to have your tournament, personal one, it's up to you. You can arrange that. We're not against. So, as long as people just want to play UFL, we will support.
That's good to hear. Like, I know there has been one that was run the other day that went pretty successfully from what I've seen. I kept an eye on it like I do anything with UFL at the moment. But in terms of... Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I think you meant the UFL Scout tournament, right?
Yeah, I didn't know if I was allowed to say that or not. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I watched it. It was fun.
Yeah, that to me, that's like another way of branching out to getting more audiences. But obviously, your team will focus on that. Yeah. That's not my job, thankfully. In terms of anything else you want to add, I think I've covered everything on my side. Is there anything you wanted to add that we may have missed or you wanted to touch upon quickly while we still got you here?
I think that we majorly covered the biggest topics that are circulating around the web, right? I think this could be like the first talk of ours. Maybe we'll have some more. We'll see what will be the reactions and stuff. If people would like to have this type of open conversations, we can be having more of them. I'm absolutely grateful for you coming here and having this talk with me, going into these details of things, because it's kind of not so easy to give replies in text over Twitter or for us as a company to give a statement. We just want to be... what we want to have is we want to have a good direct communication flow where we can ask about the things we're working on and get truthful feedback. We don't need any sugarcoating. We're not interested in people just saying good words to us. It's important for us that the people play our game, they enjoy it, and so if it's not, then we'll be working further to make it happen for these people. And that's why, just let's see how it goes. Stick with UFL. We'll bring a lot of new things. Hopefully you will enjoy it. And that's just the way it is. I think the market has been stale for a very long time. I totally understand that we need to deliver more and more stuff and to deliver it on a even higher quality level than it is now. We understand how to get there. Just give us some time.
100%. Again, thank you so much for your time, Eugene. I appreciate it. And the UFL team altogether. You guys have been unbelievably... If anybody's ever concerned about community response or feedback, use me as an example. I just spoke my mind, and I got this opportunity today to speak directly to the guy who runs the entire show. So, again, thank you, everybody who has been watching. Please provide any feedback you have on any social channels, whether that's going to be on Twitch today, Discord, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere you want to go. I'm sure they will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more podcasts like this, let them know. If you want to see me again, let me know, and I'll catch you, hopefully, in another podcast.
100%. Thank you so much for your time, man, and hopefully see you soon.
Take care.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye.